This is Lair Media. To whom it concerns, welcome to the panel.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this edition of the panel on Wednesday, October the 16th. Good evening, Mary.
Hi, everyone.
Good evening, Lillian.
Hello.
Good evening, Tony, and welcome.
Good evening.
I think everybody would know our faces by now anyway. This is the 5th or 6th, I forget what program it is. And we have the usual hot patch of subjects to go through and items and whatever. Look, wherever the program takes us, it's a very fluid program and open, and whatever people are interested in, it's discussed openly and honestly on the show. And we have little intervals of comedy, bits of comedy to break up the thing as well. All the details are on the bottom of your screen, the email and the phone number. And press on the YouTube channel, press the red button on the right-hand side as you look at it to subscribe to our channel. We very much appreciate it, you know. Anyway, I suppose there's an unease at the moment in Dáil Éireann amongst all the TDs of all the parties because they're anticipating a general election before Christmas, and the main opposition party, for those who are not living in Ireland who may see this programme afterwards, the main opposition party in this Dáil at the moment, in this parliament, is Sinn Féin. They're the biggest opposition party. The party at the moment is in turmoil, and there's another TD after resigning from the party, a very prominent TD who happened to be the chairman of the most powerful committee in the Dáil, which is the Public Accounts Committee. And I see now that this evening that Sinn Féin have nominated Mairead Farrell to take the place of Brian Stanley. And Labour Party and the Social Democrats have come out and said they will not back her for the chairman, except there's a few more questions to be answered by the Sinn Féin leader. I think that's the nub of the whole thing, what's going on. You know, I try to simplify the thing. And for people who are not familiar with the minute details, some of the and also a senator from Sinn Féin has resigned as well from the lower house, the Senate, and he's was the leader of the Sinn Féin group in the Parliament as well on behalf of Sinn Féin, and he had to resign as well. And that's been over again. He had sent inappropriate text messages to a 17-year-old and to an adult as well, so he had to resign as well. So I suppose you could say that Sinn Féin are a party in turmoil. Tony, would you agree with that?
Not so much in turmoil, I wouldn't say. There were a lot of problems, which is a pity, really, because when the heads, they're the only opposition apart from the Social Democrats, really. They're the only opposition, that's them and Sinn Féin.
Yeah.
And, but it's unfortunate, really, that's happening. Of course, the main parties will love this now. And I'd like to know if it's the other way around now, or where would it be? You know, that we've had other things wrong with Fine Gael over the years. I mean, the biggest thing that comes to mind is Michael Lowry. But Michael Lowry...
Yeah, Michael Lowry is still in Dáil Éireann, and he's convicted.
Yeah,
he's convicted in the courts. He's still in the Dáil. Now, in his defence, the people of Tipperary voted him into the Dáil. We mustn't forget that, you know.
It's hard to believe, really, really hard to believe. And like that, I remember at the time, I was on another radio programme and a woman rang in and told me mind my own business over talking about Michael Lowry. Yeah. And all I said was that I just thought was wrong, that he could get back into the Dáil. You know, so you kind of wonder. And like that, Fianna Fáil, as you know, I've had many things wrong with him over the years, too numerous to mention, and they all pass by as well. It's just that you have this big lobby now.
Yeah, you had a lot of resignations from Fianna Fáil during the COVID 2020, just recently. People had to resign their junior ministerships. They had to resign from different things because of rules and regulations. And you had Phil Hogan had to resign as well.
And they're still there, most of them, you know. And I wonder, you know, but getting back to Sinn Féin, it's a pity these things are coming, and like that, it's bad for them now if there is a general election. You know, it's kind of unfair, I think, really, you know. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. But I tell you, Mary Lou she's a fine speaker, I tell you. She's well able to handle her own patch, you know, and
Mary Lou McDonald is around a long time now in politics, so she's a seasoned campaigner, and it would take a lot. Mary, what do you think?
I'm no lover of Sinn Féin, but I have to agree, I think, with Tony that probably now is not the time to be. They're not going to win. They haven't a hope of beating Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael. And I'm just wondering the timing of all of this. But, you know, I mean, I was reading today about one of their members whom they wanted to build or name a children's park after. And he had contacted the Gardaí to have, I'm trying to think of the child's name who went missing, to have the spotlight taken off members of.
That's the little Gallagher girl in Donegal.
I just wonder at the idea.
Is that who you're talking about?
It is, but I just wonder at the idea that they draw attention to themselves so much by trying to spotlight certain people who clearly, you know, with a little bit of rummaging, have so much to hide and would rather it didn't come out in the open. Do you know? I mean, the idea of him, given that he had contacted the Gardaí, having a children's park named after him just defies belief, do you know? And I just don't understand. There seems to be, and only the other day, I'm hopeless with names now at the moment, but another member of Sinn Féin resigned.
You're talking about Brian Stanley, are you?
Brian Stanley,
yeah. We spoke about him at the top of the program. He was the TD for Lee Shoffrey, and
he was very good.
Straight man. He seemed an awfully, when I say straight, I mean he seemed an awfully honourable man. Going by appearances, you know, but
I watched him on the public accounts several times on different days. He was very good in the public accounts.
He was,
incredibly good.
He did a fabulous job there, and it's a shame to. Now, first of all, I'll say it's a tragedy for him personally, but that's not to take away from we don't know what the allegation is. We don't know what they are, so we're speaking in the dark somewhat. There may be a victim as well. We don't know that either. Now, we won't know for a long while, you know. So we don't know what the other side of the story is, which is a pity in a way, you know.
Well, you know, if you do something, then you have to be held responsible for it. That's my attitude.
Yeah, there's an awful lot of he didn't, he said, she said, and there's an awful lot of that going on now. And I'm not trying to denigrate a serious sexual allegation. I'm not trying to do that, but there's too much of he said, she said, he did this. Men and women are walking on eggshells, both in the workplace and in the social scene and in the pub having a crack. You know, you'd be afraid to open your mouth, Tony. You know, you'd be afraid of it.
Well, you know, I'm a great believer now that you talk about something that really does interest me. I am a great believer in. If a person is accused, an accuser of any sort, they should not, an accused of any sort, they should not be named. Their identity shouldn't be released until and if they're found guilty. There's too many cases. I know there's too many cases where people's lives have been destroyed, both male and female. Lives have been destroyed by lies that took years and mud sticks. You can never ever get away from the innuendo and there's always there's no smoke without fire.
Yes.
I mean, one thing feeling desperately sorry and angry when you find out that somebody is guilty, but when you don't know whether they're guilty or not, but they end up being found guilty by either association or by social media.
Yeah.
Those are the dangers that I think. So I really do think, certainly in England they don't have it, and in the north they don't have it. Immediately the person is out in the public, and especially if they're famous, their lives are ruined.
I mean, it's the same on social media. I mean, you have people accusing others of racism on social media because of a comment they may have made. And the next thing now, if the legislation that they're discussing comes in, that report could be forwarded on to Garda Síochána in our case, and you could be in court over it.
Well, of course you can. Well, social media is the ruination, really. There's people putting up things that are of no concern to anybody, really. There's nothing else to be doing and putting stuff up on social media. Irrelevant things. They have nothing.
It isn't, Tony. It isn't. It isn't. It's both. It's a double-edged sword. It's both dangerous and it's both liberating as well, because there's an awful lot of stuff that's not covered in the media for political reasons that would never come out were it but for the for social media.
There's so much websites out now.
There's an awful lot, Tony, that comes out.
Well, I'll give you an example, Tony. We had of social media that is something that's positive in that. Recently, I'm out here in County Clare and Mary and Tony are in Limerick. But recently, we had an elected mayor in Limerick, John Moran. He was elected in an election for a mayor. Now, an awful lot of information about John Moran did not come out during the canvassing. An awful lot of information about him personally, about his personal wealth, and about all the properties owns, etc. And he's entitled to own whatever he likes. I don't care about that. He's entitled to that. He's entitled to the 2,000 or 3,000 euros a month rental income. There's nothing illegal about it. But we should have known all these things before the election. And it was the ditch who put it out in the media, you know. They've done a fantastic job. You know, they're a small media company.
Yeah.
A fantastic job.
They're excellent sort of stuff they come up with, you know.
Yeah, absolutely,
And we're lucky that is a good site, I think, because it's a site I constantly go to, and I've seen things on it that I know about, but you're afraid to say them because you could be sued, you see.
Yeah.
Only it takes a few years. It takes a few years, and then it all comes out that everything that people were putting up on social media were actually the truth, and you know in your heart, because you're more informed. One is more informed and reads or looks at all the other media that's going on and is utterly informed, but things are put down to conspiracy theorists, or right wing or left wing, or there's no one in the middle with the mainstream media. There's absolutely nobody center right or center left. They're all either far right or far left, and then suddenly, a year or two down the line, everything comes out as if it's like, we never knew. But of course they did. They just...
they know, all right. People aren't interested. I know it. I've met so many people.
Are very much interested, Tony. But there's an awful lot of people just couldn't be bothered researching. They regurgitate everything that they hear on RTE and on BBC, Channel 4, ITV, CNN, Fox News. Everyone, they go to their little area and they stay there, and they don't do research. And then 6 months, a year later, they find out, good God, I never knew this was true. If I had known this was true, I wouldn't have done A, B, C.
Yeah, for instance, RTE News, our national broadcaster, who's been given £750 million over the next 3 years. £750 million by the present government for the next 3 years guaranteed income, as well as the license going up now soon, and their commercial income as well. So it's like winning the lotto. Now, they are entrusted to give us impartial and fair news.
Yeah.
Every single 6 o'clock news on RT every day is quoting a terrorist organisation for the source of their figures in the Middle East war in the Middle East. Every day, our national broadcaster, headline news about so much bombing, so many people killed, and they get their stories from Hamas, a terrorist organisation, and they get their figures and they put it out as news.
Yeah, but what side do you want? What do you want to hear about
You want to hear, first of all, when RT say there's 41,000 dead in Gaza, that figure is supplied by the terrorist organisation. They do not say that 25,000 of those are terrorist fighters.
Who's counting the bodies half month to myself?
No.
We're all paying. We're all getting back to this. We're all paying a license fee. Everyone in this country pays a license fee, and as Pat said, they're getting billions from the government. It should be one or the other. They either get funded from the government or they get funded from the license payer, but they're funded by the government, funded by the license payer, and they're also able to take in advertising. And the license payers are made up of a diverse group of people from all walks of life with a multitude of opinions on social aspects of life and on political aspects of life, whether they have an opinion or they don't have an opinion, whether they're right of centre, whether they're left of centre, whether they're right in the middle, whether they're socialists, whether they have communist views, whatever. Everyone is paying or expected to pay for the license fee. But yet, when it comes down to it, you go on the media and you hear, oh, they're right wing, or they're far right, or they're far left, and they're alienating a group of people who are expected to pay the license fee one way or another, even though they're also getting money from the government and they're also getting to be impartial. There's nothing impartial on the media. They either refuse to take money from the government to be impartial, and then they do, and they take money from funding from
the license fee.
Well, not license fee, but from advertisers who
the commercial income
pushed out, but they're not. They want it from all directions, and then they want to insult maybe 2/3 of the people who are paying the license fee.
Well, I have to say, no, I don't have to pay a license fee. I have a free license.
Yeah, but the government has to pay it on your behalf.
What do you mean? No, I have a free license. You've paid into it for years, and you've got your senior citizens pension, but yeah.
you were paying it for years.
That's dispute.
And the government
You're making an assumption there. The panel is a show.
People out there wouldn't agree with you,
The panel is a show on learnmedia.tv. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Press the red button on the right-hand side. And we'll take a little suspect now with one of my favourite comedians.
Good evening. Good evening. Very nice to be here. I thought I might start this evening with a joke. Concerns 3 men, an Englishman, a Welshman, and a Pakistani. Yes, weren't expecting that, were you? That's my favourite bit of the joke, to be honest. The tension, which is suddenly palpable in the room when I mention the 3rd member of that little gathering. I will mention the chap who told me this joke. I didn't know him terribly well. He had already uttered the immortal phrase, "Some of my best friends are black," which is rarely a sign of an untroubled conscience. And I did have to point out to him that Labradors don't count. But as it happened, I think he was in the clear on this one. Anyway, you be the judge. 3 men, English, Welsh, Pakistani. These 3 congregate one morning, innocently enough, in the maternity ward of their local hospital to collect their newborn sons. The mood is one of joyous anticipation, from which we may reasonably deduce that they are first-time fathers. With a note of bitterness there for serial parents. However, This mood, fragile as it is shattered prematurely when they are informed by the doctor in charge, or more likely some sort of middle management lackey who is siphoning funds away from frontline services, but be that as it may, they are informed that there has been a bit of a mix-up at the hospital and he can no longer say with any certainty whose son is whose. Now, you or I in this situation, I imagine, would probably return home and inform our legal representatives and begin a costly and time-consuming but ultimately profitable suit against this hospital for gross professional misconduct. At the very least, you would demand a DNA test be conducted in order to establish paternity. But this being a joke, the three men agree to sort it out between them. The Englishman goes in first, as is his right. According to strict alphabetical order, at the very least, let us say. The Englishman goes in first and emerges a moment later with what is quite clearly, even to the medically untrained eye, the Pakistani child. Pakistani gentleman says as much, and the Englishman says, well, I'm sorry, mate, but one of those two in there is Welsh, and I'm not taking any chances.
That's Simon Evans. So that's a very good joke. Simon Evans. It's unusual, but he's a full-time broadcaster now, isn't he? Every night on GB News. You can catch him every night at about 11 o'clock, I think, on GB News. They do something like You Cannot Be Serious program, you know, with sketches and bits of fun.
Do you know, I never listened to him before.
I know he's good.
Listened to GB News and I've listened to Simon Evans on hosting it, but I've never listened to the joke. But as somebody who has Welsh heritage on my father's side, his mother was Welsh from the Rhondda. I find it hilarious, but it's lucky that that anyone can take that as funny. I'm sure for Derek, if he's listening.
Just Darwin, we were sitting down the program to Darwin anyway, he might enjoy it. But Tony, just getting back to Sinn Féin for a minute. Do you think this will affect them much in the general election, or should it?
Well, they'll have their own core vote, all right, would be the same. You know, people that want to vote in Sinn Féin. It might put people off that have leanings towards, like, is it far right or far left? I wonder which am I? Am I right or left? I don't know myself.
I'd say you're a centrist.
I would consider him right, Pat. Right, not far right. I would consider you. I would see nothing about you that would be even central in anything.
I wonder. There's some things I agree with, some things I wouldn't agree with, you know. But anyway, but like that. Getting back to what you said, it's hard to say, really. You know,
no.
I mean, the words so powerful there about, would say, roughly about 2 years ago. I mean, everybody knew they were going, and she was kind of, Mary Lou was the Taoiseach in waiting, as they say.
Yeah.
So
in Limerick City, they were looking at the possibility of getting a second seat in the fourth seat in Limerick, but now I'd say that's no longer possible. I don't think so.
Yeah, I suppose so. But then again, it's like the mayor election. I mean, the people that ran for the mayor election, I mean, it was ridiculous. I mean, there were people ran for that, and I mean, the cats the cats out in the back garden of my house knew that they wouldn't get in, you know. Yeah. And I mean, what's his name? Massey Cullivan. He went for the mayor election as well.
He did.
And if he'd gotten that, would he have had to resign his seat? And what would have happened then? Who would have got the seat?
Well, they did nominate one for the Dáil. Yeah. No, there has to be a by-election in the TD. Yeah, you can't replace the TD.
Yeah.
There has to be a by-election.
I was canvassed already, you know. Councillor O'Donovan, Elisa O'Donovan, she was going on. It was last Friday night that she was in my area. I didn't meet her now, but a fella came to the door, and I said to him, "She's running for the Dáil." Well, we could surprise. Maybe she could get in. You just don't know. At times, who will be elected, who won't be elected. You don't know. mean, we all think she's going to get it, you know, but you don't know.
There's loads of people will put their names in knowing that they're not going to get it, but getting just to gain recognition or face recognition or name recognition, so that the next time they go for it, there'll be. I mean, yeah.
You know what I think about Limerick City. I think Sinn Féin obviously will get a seat, and I think Fianna Fáil will get 2 seats and Fine Gael will get 1. That's what I think now.
Yeah, what happens into the Labour vote in Limerick?
They won't get a seat.
Labour vote.
I think Connor will could get a Labour seat.
Who?
Connor.
Connor Sheehan.
Pardon?
Connor Sheehan.
Connor Sheehan, yeah.
Oh, yeah. You wouldn't know. It's really hard. Then you see, it depends on what you need. Is when I was young years ago, you had steps you took. You got a fella that, first of all, he was well known. He was chairman of the local club, especially GA club.
Yeah.
Then he was also involved in the Residents Association. And they had no interest in it, but they got involved anyway, preferably as chairman. And there were a few other things you got involved in to get your name out there, so that you were kind of known.
Yeah.
You know, that's how most of them. You could nearly tell who was going to run for politics years ago when fellas were involved in the local, as I said,
sorry for going to cost you, Tony, but you still have people, families, like, the father isn't going at all now, we'd rather get the son or daughter to run. You still have that going on.
That's parish pump politics, always has. You get stupid people will
Conor
vote.
Sheehan presented himself very well in the debates for the mayoral election. He stood up and he spoke out and he said, I'm probably the youngest person here, but I can safely say without any shadow of a doubt, I'm the most mature, because the others were fighting amongst themselves. And
you had that fella shouting and roaring, Frankie Daly.
Frankie Daly was just on a high. And Conor just said, I am the youngest here, but I can safely say without a shadow of a doubt I'm the most mature.
I suppose the best thing you could say about Frankie Daly is the Healy Ray of Limerick.
Say what you say about him? He what?
He's the Healy Ray of Limerick.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't actually put that in him now, but then again, you wonder, who should have gotten it. I mean, John Moran, I went to one of his gatherings below in Punches.
Yeah.
And I asked questions and he didn't answer.
Yeah.
And, I don't know, the first question I asked him was that I never saw him in my life. Who was he? Has he any interest in the city? He said he was going to, I could be misquoting him now, I want to be careful, but he was on about the regional hospital, what he would do for that. He was on about Barrington's, and there were all kind of airy-fairy things that couldn't be done anyway.
But he
was on up front with Katie Hannon on Monday night on the panel, John Moran, and they were talking about the cap on the passengers in Dublin Airport as if the whole world was going to end. And John Moran, in fairness, put across the case for Shannon Airport and Cork Airport, particularly Shannon Airport, and to have a rebalancing of investment outside of Dublin, And I thought he came across very well.
Understand it, Pat. I cannot understand it. And I made a comment on a post where they said that John Moran was an idiot and that he had no right to, or that he hadn't a clue and all that. And I said, he absolutely has. We have the largest runway in Shannon Airport in Europe, and it's very underutilized.
It is,
easily have more flights to the States and more flights to France and Europe, and yet they're just grabbing. And this commenter came back to me and said, but Dublin looks after, yes, people want to go to the west and they want to go to the south, but they get sick of it after a couple of days and they want to go to the north, so Dublin is there. And I said, but Shannon is there for the west, it's there for Connacht, it's there for Munster, just as Dublin is there for Leinster and Ulster. It's just about greed, Dublin wanting everything, and they don't.
Michael O'Leary isn't interested.
He was interested plenty of times, Tony, but they never gave him the...
But Shannon Airport themselves should forget about Ryanair. Yeah. They've asked Ryanair often enough now to put on more. and they ignore them. So Shannon Airport authority themselves should be more proactive out in the world to try. There's no flights out of the south of France for the winter time.
But Pat,
I mean, it's ridiculous.
Ryanair wanted to land in Shannon Free.
That was a long time ago now, good 3 years ago.
They wouldn't allow that to happen, and it was very blind of them.
Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael wouldn't allow it to happen. They sold out Shannon, Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, when they sold the Heathrow slots. You know, when they sold them off for cash.
Yeah, but the thing is that, which, as Michael O'Leary said, that's where the population is in Dublin, you see. They have the people up there.
It doesn't matter, Tony. Why are Munster people and Connacht people to travel all the time up to Dublin to get a flight? So, and they to park their cars, just say for a week or 2 weeks in Dublin Airport, that and be inconvenienced when Pat Barry is living 2 minutes, say for instance, Pat Barry is living less than 2 minutes from the airport by car, Shannon Airport. And if he wanted to get certain flights, he's got to get into a car, drive to Dublin, park for 2 weeks up in Dublin Airport and wait, and then come back, and thousands of people getting off the flight and thousands more getting on, and they're having to stand for 6 hours.
I'll just give you an example. We're planning a short trip next month, and we have to go to Dublin. I'm living 5 minutes from the airport.
But if you were to fly from Shannon Airport, it would take 16 hours to get to France.
Well, you can't get there.
No, but if you wanted to, there's 2 or 3 stop-offs. So to travel directly...
I mean, we have no choice, which is ridiculous.
They say the demand isn't there, they say, for Shannon. The demand isn't there.
Yeah, they said that. I'll give you a small example. Just this is local issue now for people who are looking at the program. There's a 343 bus service from Shannon, from Limerick to Shannon. And it was beset with problems of lateness, not showing up, and it was a mess. And we only had a half a service on Sunday every 2 hours to an international airport up the road. They eventually decided to run the service at peak times in the morning and in the evening every 20 minutes. And they have never been busier. If you put it on that's reliable and it runs on time, people will use it. And that's a perfect example of reacting to the use.
Are you telling me, Tony, the people up in Galway or people up in Sligo would rather bypass Shannon and go to Dublin? They'd rather bypass Shannon and go to Dublin.
No. Well, they don't, because they do not have the service from Shannon. It's like anything. If you put on the services, people will use it.
Absolutely.
And so the management of Shannon Airport, the Shannon Airport Authority, have to get up off their hands and go out in the world actively and sell the airport, sell the facilities, sell the area. After all, in 2027, which is not too far away, we had one of the biggest sporting events in the world. Yeah. One of the biggest, outside of the Olympics and the World Cup, is the Ryder Cup, out in a Dare manner. They have a perfect time, a perfect selling point to go out and do it now.
Yeah, but
and Pat, I don't know whether they have the vision to do it. I don't know.
Yes, but Pat, so long ago, Dublin was advertising itself as the gateway airport to the Ryder Cup. It was an absolute insult, and anyone working and managing Shannon Airport should be ashamed of they should bury their heads in I can remember as from childhood the whole way up going there regularly to Shannon Airport to when my father would be coming over once a year, or I'd be going back a few times a year to England. Shannon Airport, I can remember it bustling when I was in Bunratty Castle for 14 years. There was always something going on there. Always. Lights always going out, coming back.
They all pulled out. Pan Am pulled out. TWA pulled out. They all pulled out of it. The demand wasn't there.
Because of management. Because of management, Tony. Don't you know, it's as simple as that.
My dad was
I was at the Irish Open Golf Championship, which was held in Lillian with my son and grandson. We were there. And everybody who's anybody, as I thought, should have had a stand at that. So massive, massive event. You had all the top golfers. You had McIlroy and Lowry, Harrington, Tillhatton. You had all the top golfers were there at the Irish Open. It was a fantastic occasion, I must say. It was brilliant. Anyway, I didn't see any Shannon Airport stand down there at the Irish Open in the Hinge.
Just badly run. I mean, there should
And
be.
I just could not understand it. You had the richest of people at that tournament. I'm not saying I was
the Wild Atlantic way.
You had some fantastic connections to be made, and they just did not take advantage of it. And the Ryder Cup that time had decided that they had granted the Ryder Cup to Dare Manor at that time. And that's all down to J.P. McManus himself. That has nothing to do with the area here, in my opinion. You know, he has forged links with Tiger Woods, with Rory McIlroy, with all the top guys in the DeChambeau, Bruce Koepka, all those people. They know him personally. He knows them personally. They trust him. And that's why the Ryder Cup is in a Dare Manor, you know. Anyway, we'll take another little suspect.
Well, what's he doing about it now, J.P. McManus? What's he doing about Shannon?
I agree with you, Tony. Maybe he should step in
he's dead over it. The railway line is coming on near me now. That's going to be in motion for it, supposedly.
We hope it will.
Tony,
I know how much it can hurt. I had a relationship break up a few years ago. She worked in my council depot.
She was a lady road sweeper?
Oh no, she was management. Real high flyer. You had to go to her when you wanted a new broom. Linda. Nice girl. Had a funny eye. You never knew if she was looking at me or seeing if the bus was coming. Anyway, she'd heard about this little hotel down near Henley-on-Thames. And she said to me, how about spending a weekend there?
Yeah, go on. Yeah, go on, Bronco, yeah. Sorry, what sort of money are we talking about? Well, look, I'll have to pop down and see it, won't I, eh? Yeah.
Yeah?
What?
Well, what happened? Was it a nice weekend?
Yeah, at least I thought it was. But she didn't want to see me no more after it.
Oh, well, I don't like to pry, Trig, but...
No. It's a bit personal.
Hang on, Bronco. Trig, what happened?
She got jealous. I heard later, through friends, that she wanted to go with me.
I'll have a large scotch, Mike.
That's of course, he's passed on now, you know. Did you like that, Tony? Only Fools and Horses?
I couldn't see sense or meaning in that now.
I don't think Tony would like anything that was English comedy.
I wouldn't be bothered with English comedies now. Anyway, their accents, we don't talk like that. All these old stupid old accents to have, you know.
Well, what's his name, passed away today. The general that was in charge of the massacre in Ballymurphy, of the paratroopers in Ballymurphy on the night in 1970, 71.
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson, he's dead now. He died of prostate cancer. And
He's been interviewed several times.
Yeah, he was 80, I think, 80 years of age.
He died.
He's infamous. His name is infamous in Northern Ireland because not alone did he preside over the massacre in Ballymurphy, he went in and gave evidence which was a bunch of lies. Because when forensic discarded all his evidence as totally unfounded, but to detect the bullets, where the bullet holes are and all that. And the people weren't armed that were shot down. And the same, he presided over the palace on Bloody Sunday as well, when people were shot as well down in the streets in Derry. So I mean, there won't be any tears shed for his passing. Certainly, when you read what he presided over.
I was watching a documentary last week. It was repeated again last night on the Brighton bombing. And he'd interviewed him. It was very good now. It's on for 2 hours again last night.
Oh, I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, it was on last week. There were 2 editions last week. when they did a kind of a follow-up to it, the first beginning. But it was very good last night. I watched it again last night, you know, about why he did it. And I'll tell you, what you say about him, he was some bomb maker.
Who?
Patrick McGee in Britain. The way he planted that bomb in there. It was there for about, I think it was there for 2 weeks. And never found. And a timer on it for 2 weeks. Time perfection.
But you see, that's the thing when, you know, they say one man's terrorist, another man's freedom fighter. But when you start to glorify people, you know, the very comment you're after making now, say what you like, he was a great bomb maker. Look at all the people who died.
Well, the one thing about...
be able to do it. I wouldn't be able to do it.
I know what you're saying, Johnny, but we're not glorifying people. We're just...
Make bombs. They use their time in something else.
The other thing about it is that, of course, the problem with the Brighton bombing was they missed Margaret Thatcher, you know?
What an absolutely shocking thing to say.
She was probably...
You don't have to like her or politics.
Margaret Thatcher was more hated by her own than anyone else.
Horrible person. Really, really, oh God, I couldn't think of words.
She destroyed the Welsh minds. She
destroyed whole communities, and she destroyed and upset society in Britain, and it never ever fully recovered. Never fully recovered from her appalling policies. You know, appalling. And there's no doubt about it. You know, and I mean, people who lived through that time would tell you some stories. You know.
But he gave a good account of how he got involved, what they put up with up there in the 6 counties, especially in Derry.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't hear half the things that were happening.
No. There was an apartheid state run by the British government.
Of course.
That's what it was, plain and simple. If you weren't Protestant, you certainly, not alone, you didn't get housing, you didn't get a job.
But Pat, it's not included in this apartheid. It's not included in this occupied territories bill. It's funny that.
Well, it will be. Well, to realise it'll be a consequence of the bill if it ever gets passed, because
amazing how Sinn Féin have been pushing for this occupied territories bill for so long, but they've never thought about the fact that 6 of the counties of this country are occupied.
Yeah, and they don't seem to have much trouble with that, though, you know. I mean, it's not expediency, but I mean, if they do ban, I don't think the bill will ever see the light of day anyway, because when you see the bunch of Lachicos who are supporting the bill, you have Paul Murphy, Boyd Barrett, Mick Barry, total anti-Semites in our dog, total anti-Semites, and love wearing, allowed wear terrorist insignia in Dáil, which I think is an affront to all the people who fought and died for our freedom. It's a shocking indictment of the Dáil and of the rules of the Dáil that are not taken out. We have a very, very tiny Jewish community in this republic, very tiny. 15 or 1600 of them. They are living in absolute fear in this state. Fear.
Terror.
You have young Jewish students in universities who they're afraid to even speak up. It's gone so bad. And
I wouldn't say they're living in fear. No. I wouldn't say they're living in fear.
No, they are.
Abject terror, Tony.
Did you meet any of them recently, Tony? I've met them. I've been on the marches with them in Dublin. I met them, and I tell you, they tell you some stories, which is
most
appalling.
of them are leaving the country and that shouldn't happen.
Dáil has left herself down very badly.
Yeah. Well, did you bring back your man? What's his name? Alan Shatter.
Yeah.
Recently.
He's retired. He's a very good speaker. I met him. He's been at those marches as well, Alan Shatter, you know. I thought a very good public representative, you know.
Yeah.
Even though I wouldn't be a supporter of the party, but nevertheless, he was a very good representative. That's Alan Shatter. By the way, Mary will be interviewing on our podcast. Mary does a podcast. My Story, is it?
My Story.
There'll be watch out for the interview coming up on our YouTube channel with the former Minister for Justice, Charlie Flanagan. So she'll be interviewing him now in the next couple of days. And he had a long career in politics. Huh?
His father that said, wherever there's honey, there's bees, and wherever there's money, there's Jews.
Yeah, that was his father.
His father, yeah.
Yeah, not him.
And much time for the Jews either, what I remember. Oliver J.
Towards the end of his life, though, he was very much he atoned, if you like, for his hatred, and
we can argue that you know your time.
He asked for forgiveness, and he became a supporter of both the Protestants, the small Protestant community in this country, and the tiny, minuscule Jewish community. But some might argue a little too late. Some might argue it was a little too late.
And your man Oliver Jennifer, what's his name? The son, not Oliver J. The son, the last fella.
Charlie Flanagan.
Charlie Flanagan. That's who I'm interviewing.
He's now he was Minister for Justice, of course, one time.
He didn't know much.
He's a very good speaker. Very good speaker. Yeah. And we look forward to that interview. Watch out for that. We'll announce it on our social media pages.
Oh, okay. Ask him when did he do something when he was Minister for Justice. I don't think he opened his mouth when he was Minister for Justice. All he did was take the money every week, you know.
Well,
ask him how much
you're not interviewing him, Tony. Well, you'd have a very right-wing view of.
Does he think it's right, and it's like in his heart, that he can take a big pension every week from the government? Does he think it's right? Why doesn't he give half it back?
They're all doing it, Tony. They're only turning up when it suits them.
Oh, you can chuck it
out. I mean, they had plenty of money this year in this year's budget, and they failed to look after the most vulnerable and look after the cost of living crisis that people are in, that are living in penury every day of the week, that are suicidal, facing suicide, that are giving up in life every day, and that are living in appalling conditions. They cannot afford to live. They cannot afford to go outside the door with the cost of living, and yet the government is awash with money, and it did the same old thing in the budget. Gave nothing. They're blowing their trumpet over the energy credit. The energy credit is going to the companies. The dearest electricity in Europe that's being supplied to us, it'll still be the dearest electricity in Europe, despite the energy credit that will be put into the companies that are supplying it to us. In my case, they'll be giving them 125 and 125. It won't be going to me at all. It'll be going to the company that supplies the electricity to keep their profits up and their high prices.
But that's an appalling indictment, really, of the Irish people in general, because that we're actually standing for it here in this country. Because you are quite right, Pat. The money is actually going to the electricity companies or the electric companies. They have no intention, therefore, of reducing the fees.
No.
Why would they? They're getting the money. If the government was encouraging them or forcing them to reduce their extortionate profits and to give some of it back or give most of it back to the people that have been paying way over for so long, but they haven't done that. And
I'll give you an example of what we're like as a nation. In County Clare, where I reside, where in the last local elections, 90% of the votes went to Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, and people are entitled to vote for who they like. I'm not knocking that at all. But the other side of the coin is this. There was clapping on the back there recently when it was announced that the emergency department in Ennis Hospital, wait for it now, this is a breathtaking announcement, breathtaking, by the present administration. They'll be open till midnight from Monday to Friday instead of 8 o'clock. They're going to open till midnight. That's giving people crumbs from the table. That's all it is. It's giving them one kick instead of two of them at the time. It's an appalling carry on. And that we are happy as the people for it in County Clare. We're clapping each other on the back. over these things.
A good man. You've given us until 12 o'clock at night. God, it's just so. I mean, where are the people, the Irish people? Where are they that they were there during the 1916 Rising and before it?
Does anybody remember a comedy show called Married with Children? There was a serial killer in America called Ted Bundy. If anybody wants to know about him, his execution is on YouTube. You can find it there. He got the electric chair in it. That's Ted Bundy.
You are grotesque.
And I tell you, talking about executions, there's a man due to be executed tomorrow in America, in Texas, and he's autistic. He's in prison for the last 20 years, I think. He's due to be executed tomorrow for killing his child. But the autopsy, the autopsy report recently suggested that the child died of pneumonia, not shaken child syndrome. Yeah. And the poor man, I mean, I saw him, even his demeanor, even when you look at him, you don't have to be a medical man to see him. Definitely he's autistic, but I hope there'll be a stay put on the execution. But
I think it's barbaric. I think executions are absolutely barbaric, because you look at those two brothers that are 36 years in prison for killing both their parents. It was obvious from the evidence. Much of it not given, much of it not presented.
That's the Menendez brothers, and the first trials of both of them were declared mistrials because the juries couldn't agree. And then by the time their retrial came around, it was the first big trial that was allowed to be televised on court TV. But the retrial was not allowed cameras in the court. But at the same time, as the retrial was happening, the famous trial of O.J. Simpson came up, was on at the same time. So that overshadowed their second trial. So it got lost. Anyway,
hold on a second, Pat. 36 years in prison for a crime that arguably they had told their aunts and uncles and relatives that they were being sexually abused and physically abused while it was happening. And they took, there's an awful lot of people out now protesting. Of course, you have all the film stars and everything like that coming out. Rosie O'Donnell is very vocal in trying to have them released. But they spend most of that prison sentence separated in two different prisons, two very close brothers, no one else in the world. Now they're together again, and there's talks that they may be released. But 36 years, they could have been executed years ago for arguably a crime.
Well, apparently they're saying that they were convicted on the incorrect charge. Anyway, I hope they succeed.
A woman comes in the shoe store today, so huge she's protected by Greenpeace, and asks for a size 4 shoe. So I ask her if she wants to eat them there or take them home. And she has the nerve to complain about my performance.
Honey, I complain about your performance all the time. You don't care. Sometimes you don't even wake up.
Unlike sex with you, this is important to me. The mall manager is threatening to take away the only joy I have at work.
They're shutting off the plumbing?
The other joy. They're threatening to take away my parking space, the one that's closer than all the other employees, because I've been there the longest.
Oh, so you'll have to walk an extra half mile. It won't kill you.
Oh, no, Peg, it won't kill me. That's your job.
That's Al Bundy.
Tony's face. He has no sense of humor. It's like, unless it's Irish, Tony can't make it funny.
I think they're less silly, to be honest with you. I don't even know what it is anyway. Your Wallace hair, she's like something out of the 50s.
It was the 70s and 80s. It was the 80s, was it, Pat?
Married with Children.
Married with Children was called, and he was called Ted Bundy in it.
I couldn't watch it.
I have to say, I don't like American comedy. I never liked, but I love Al Bundy. I think it's just...
I like what's his name. I love, I watched it again last night, the Curb Your Enthusiasm. That's one of the funniest things, I think, on the television. Now, that's what's his name is in it? He writes it as well.
Larry.
No, he used to do the work for the other fella. God, I can't give his name. What's the fella who's very popular in America?
Tim Allen.
No, Jesus. Anyway, your man that's on now, that's very funny. And the fella he pals around with, his wife, she hates him. The language in it now is terrible. That's why it isn't done early, you know. It's terrible.
That's why you like it.
Oh, it is very funny. It is very funny.
It's funny. I must have Curb Your Enthusiasm is the name of the show.
I've never watched it.
It is very funny.
It is very funny.
I'd seen the other 2 episodes. I'd seen them before, and I knew what was going to happen. They're still laughing at it.
Yeah.
You want to be vulgar. You want next door. She hates him, you know. And she tells him in so many words to get out of the place, you know.
Yeah. She doesn't even want him living there at all,
No.
you know. No.
No, pal with the husband. He pals with the husband, you know.
Yeah.
And his wife left him, and Cheryl, she's with her for a. It's funny. It's very funny series now. It
is, yeah. Larry David, is it?
Larry David.
David.
Yeah, he wrote the other one then for the other fella. What's the other fella?
Seinfeld.
Who?
Seinfeld.
Seinfeld. Yeah. And they've guests in it. People come out of the blue into it. You know, you remember the English fella. Now, that's an English comedy I thought was one of the funniest ever. What's his name in England? The fella does, oh God, he's an Irish. He's an Irish name. No, he's an Irish name. He was the film producing then. He did that film on
oh, yeah, he did the film about, what's her name, that come back to Ireland to find her child.
Yeah.
He is very funny. He does a sketch where he's pretending to be singing an IRA song.
You're talking about your man. Right. Knowing me, knowing you.
No, he does a sketch where he's supposed to be sitting down with another guy on a talk show. And the guy is asking him, and then he starts singing "Ooh ah up the ra," sing "Ooh ah up the ra," and like they're like, who booked him?
And he did a skit on Father Ted as well. He interviewed Lillian, the fellow that writes it, and the other he had him in a hotel.
We'll get that up for you next week, Tony. Just to bring a smile on your face.
Many times I know what's going to happen in it, but that's funny. You know, that's good comedy.
It is, yeah. It is a personal thing.
But he's actually in this skit with an Irish accent, and I swear to God, his Irish accent is just simply superb. It just couldn't be any better. But both his parents were, I think, from the Aran Islands.
Is he Alan something? Is he?
Alan Partridge.
Steve Coogan. Alan Partridge.
Steve Coogan. Both his parents, I think, are from the Aran Islands. So he actually has.
He's very funny, and he's an assistant in it, and he's an assistant, and he'll be calling her ugly now.
Oh yeah, and he has a radio knowledge. He does radio knowledge.
He what?
You know? Radio knowledge, a radio. He's an amateur radio, you know.
He was born in 1965 in Middleton, Lancashire, the son of housewife Kathleen Nee Coonan and IBM engineer Anthony. He has 4 brothers and was raised Roman Catholic in a lower middle class or upper working class family.
Yeah. That's the way you can read that there. You wouldn't have known that, no, only from Wikipedia.
I'm reading. His mother is Irish and hails from County Mayo.
Yes.
And his father was born in Manchester to a mother from County Kilkenny and a father, a tailor from County Cork. So there you are, County Cork.
Well, we have the Cork, but Steve Coogan is he's a talented guy, very talented guy, you know, Steve Coogan.
You know,
and his grandfather established a dance hall for Irish people in England.
Anyway, his mother was a gate man at Charles for years.
Now what we'll have is there's an exhibition on Canucks at the moment going on in Perry Square. Is there, Tony? Are you reading this now? On Canucks, is there? I'm not too sure. I was reading
on Canucks.
a book came out about it last week.
Yeah, and there's some exhibition on. Anyway, we'll let you know next week. I forget where the details are.
The exhibition in Crops.
It'll be over by then.
In Crops. There's an exhibition about Crops, in Crops, up there in...
50 years since it closed down. Is it 25 years or 50 years since it closed down? I forget.
25.
And there were a lot of people working there. There was an awful lot of people working.
There's a huge employer. There's a great shame, but they call that progress, I think.
Pat, they were too good at what they did. Everything they had. I remember Anne Redden worked there. She bought us a carving knife in 1977, I think it was. And the carving knife is still going. She bought my mum a carving knife, an electric carving knife that you use.
Which one is still going?
Oh, it was used every time she was cutting a ham or a turkey. And
Christmas once a year.
No, weekly she'd do for her roasts and everything like that. She always used the electric carving knife, and it's still in perfect order. And you can get parts for, if the parts, you can get them online.
Yeah, my mother, God rest her, she had a Krupp's carving knife, which she used all the time. Just unbelievable.
She used it for cutting timber. It was so good. If you want
it was about 800 and 900 worked there.
Now, we've come to the end of another show, lads, and the time flew. And another edition of the panel. You will find the program on all the social media platforms and on our YouTube channel. And press the red button on the right hand side to subscribe to our channel. It's free of charge. I'd like to thank Mary Horan, Tony Browne, and Lillian. She sent me a message. It's okay, Lillian. We'll see you next week.
Her signal went. She's living
the signal dropped down. So there you go. She's out in the country. There you are. So from this edition of the panel, from myself, Pat, Mary, and Tony, we'll see you next week, lads. Take care.
And Lillian.
Take care, and good luck.
This is Rare Media. To whom it concerns, welcome to the panel.